You know what, Charles? The second I hit the go button, I realized I missed a huge opportunity. We should have had some Griftbusters music. I'm here in the Griftbusters HQ. I don't know if you can't see that, unfortunately, from your perch in Asia there. But how are you, Charles?
Well, thanks for asking, Jason. A pleasure to be back on. Shout out to the art department, the newly expanded art department with centers in Berlin, Singapore, Melbourne, and Rio. It's impressive how you get the team working together and you put this poster up. Yeah, I like Rio. You get no work done there. But no, it's a real pleasure. I'm finding my feet out here. I've made some excellent new friends. They took me out to my favorite Chinese restaurant last night. It's the beginning of Chinese New Year here tonight, the 28th. And of course, Penang is across Malaysia, the Chinese component's about 30%, but in Penang, it's about 50%. So, and of the population is Chinese. So it's all decked out across the city with these red lanterns. Appropriately, it's the year of the the snake. And people are very happy and jolly and exchanging gifts. And it's it's a nice ambiance here. I'm also getting a lot more comfort living alone, rambling around this apartment by myself. It's amazing, the security here. There are, sweeps of guards constantly. If you want to come into the apartment, you come up with a security guard. And that makes me feel good. And
will you go to one of these lantern festivals? I kind of like this. Is this where you light the thing on fire and it floats up?
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I'll probably, from my place here, I'll probably see that. If I stay up tonight, I'll probably see that happen. No, I'm just, I go, there's two main places here that I can go to. The center of town is called Georgetown. And it's the old part. It was settled. Actually, the man one of the people who lost the Revolutionary War for the Brits, posting afterwards was here, Lord Cornwallis. And so there's Fort Cornwallis here. There's a lot of buildings. This was a very important trading post before Singapore, actually. And so there are many nice historical buildings. Some are in disrepair, others have been fixed. I don't know if we've shown the crowd the Eastern and Oriental Hotel yet, but that's the old amazing place that was put up by four Armenian brothers. And prior to they then went on to do Raffles in Singapore, and it has there it is, yeah, and that's the view entering from the street. It also fronts the water, and in the old days, the rich people used to come in by boat, and there's a pier in front of the hotel that still exists, and there are pictures of all these very famous people from around the world from the 1880s and onwards, or 1890s and onwards. There's a great bar there called the Farquhar Bar, Farquhar, I think.
That we have shown before.
Yeah.
Now, Charles, there does appear to be a pier still.
Yeah, a big-ass pier.
There it is. Where are the boats?
It's not used anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's also, this is one of these non-3D areas of Google Earth.
Okay. But it's really a wonderful place, there's some rooms. I forget whether I stayed in the suite that the first time I came. I think it was where the famous British author, Somerset Maugham, wrote some of his books in the suite where I stayed. Anybody could stay in it. It's got.
You got to have tons of dough. I would
not
think.
Really. It's probably cheaper to stay for a night there than it is to stay at the Ronkonkoma Marriott. I mean, it's the way hotel prices have gone up.
Ronkonkoma I think is premium. You want South Shore right? elegance? No.
But you go into this place on a Sunday, and they have a fantastic roast, old-fashioned English roast, and you sit there and you do some people watching, go with friends. That's where I was 2 Sundays ago, actually. And really nice place. I told my architect that I wanted to try to recreate the feel of that bar in my apartment. That's the Ronkonkoma.
Yes, this is the Ronkonkoma.
Not that place.
Not that place.
No. But what are rooms out of curiosity? What do they cost?
Probably $200. You're right. It's going to be ridiculous. Find a room here at the Ronkonkoma Marriott. It's good if you want to go to MacArthur Airport. I think I've been to the restaurant in MacArthur Airport. It's like a pilot's class. I don't know. This is searching for available room. Not that interesting. It's a little jammed up there, Charles, but I'm sure. Oh, wait.
There you go.
$122.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. This one is more like 150 to 175, but it's, anyway, it's super nice.
We got a lot to talk about in terms of what's happening in the United States. I mean, Trump has had his first week. To call him a wrecking ball is maybe an understatement. I don't think we've ever. I mean, you're going to have a longer memory on this than I would, of course. Have you ever seen a president? I don't think we've seen a president on television as much as Trump has been, let alone the actual things that he's been doing.
I think in the end, this is going to make American history great again. I mean, the process by which we assess what's going on in our country has been corrupted by decades of woke puke artists seizing control of the heads of academia, media, et cetera, churning out these peer-reviewed, dribbled, toilet bowl papers, focusing on everything that's wrong with America for decades. And so you have, I shudder to think what the Blue Book, that's the course book at Yale that you have to look at. It used to be a small, half a telephone book. When you show up as a freshman, when I showed up in 1974, you get this Blue Book and you got to look through it and pick your courses. And back then, there were actually some great courses. Now I suspect it's, the evil, which is worse, an evil white man or an evil, white female? The politics of guilt through a lesbian perspective. I mean, it's probably all this bullshit's been going on for a long time. And there are 200 nations on Earth. There isn't a nation I know of that has produced validly more science and math medal winners than the United States, more great, truly great art and culture. There are so many accomplishments in the United States, so much opportunity, even now in the United States. And instead, we have these quivering morons, plagiarists, still working at Harvard. For example, Claudine Gay on $1 million a year, still at Harvard, people celebrating the plagiarists, celebrating this bullshit, trying to boast Trump. And Trump is a good old-fashioned wrecking ball. And he's stripping away, I mean, the Colombians thought just moments ago, the country of Colombia thought it was a good idea. And I think the president's some kind of gangster. He would disallow Trump from landing his deportation planes in Colombia. So Trump immediately announced 25% tariffs, and 1 week later, if you don't change your tune, 50% tariffs.
Yeah, I like it.
The president, he backed down in an hour. And so on second thought, I'll send my own personal plane up to America that you can use to deport Colombians, right? And I don't know if it was James Woods or Mel Gibson or somebody said, with regard to Trump out in Los Angeles, it's like, Daddy's finally back and he's taken off his belt.
Yep.
I'm not in favor of corporal punishment, but other than for Norm Eisen and who are the other people, Weissman, Eisen, Schiff, et cetera, they probably would enjoy corporal punishment. But
that was Mel Gibson who said that, it's an interesting choice of words given his phone calls with his ex-wife and stuff and the past allegations. But I mean, he's speaking figuratively. Look, I can enjoy Mel Gibson movies and acting without, you're going to go and examine everybody's life. You're not going to enjoy anything. But he's right. Trump is stepping in, it's like when you have a substitute teacher in elementary school and it's just everybody's swinging from the chandeliers and then the real teacher comes back. That's what we need. This has just been absurd.
Exactly. And so across the country anyway, and around the world, people are trying to fathom what exactly Trump is going to do. And so far, I'm very, very encouraged. I mean, he made some mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. On balance, he's done, Bill Clinton standard, he's done more harm, good than harm. On the J6 pardons, for example, he shouldn't have pardoned Ray Epps. I don't know why he did that. Maybe it was under a theory that the whole prosecution process was anti-constitutional, and even though you'd like to see Ray Epps disciplined, you don't want to see an anti-constitutional process, and maybe they're going to re-prosecute Ray Epps. I don't know, but I didn't like that.
I don't think you can do that once somebody has been pardoned. But along the lines of what you were
for something different, I think you can.
You're right,
and you can also go after him civilly as well.
But along the lines of what you just said, Charles, J.D. Vance actually just gave an interview that was quite interesting. I was watching it earlier, to this really dumb person who you're going to remember her name, and I don't at the moment.
Margaret Brennan.
Margaret Brennan. But Vance said, even through her incredibly rude interruptions, that it was an unconstitutional process. I don't know, we get an ad for Paramount Plus here. Sorry about that. But it was the unconstitutional process that basically provoked the pardons of everybody. So that was interesting.
Yeah, so Margaret Brennan, she's like Jim Acosta and Fake Yapper and these other people who, over decades of experience, believe that they are the ones who shape public opinion. They're the ones who decide who wins election. They're the ones who set national and international priorities. And in 2000, I think it was 9, she left wherever she was to spend a short period at Bloomberg as the star new person. And my contact is no longer at Bloomberg. It's a great guy with a great name, Pim Fox, who is a Jewish guy from New York whose parents named him after the drink, the Pim's Cup.
Oh my God! I was going to say that's the only time I've ever heard that before. So is he British?
No, he's American. He's hilarious. You'll relate to this, Jason. His father was a doctor. His mother was from New York. He was raised in Manhattan. He tells the story that when he was he's an only child. He went to fancy private schools in Columbia. And his father decided at some point they should take him to the country. So, for a weekend or something. So the father gets in the car, according to Pim, drives just across the city line in Bronx into Westchester, drives for about 5 minutes, turns the car around and says, "I can't do this. We've got to go back home. I don't feel safe."
It's like the Cross Bronx Expressway. He was like, "That's it. We're out."
He just didn't like the country. I want to be back in the city. But anyway, Pim is a gifted interviewer, and he was the one who had me on to break the GE stuff. And I was doing 2 and 3 interviews a week starting in September of 2008 on Bloomberg and other channels, and it got to be many more than that in 2009. And at one point, I was slated to do an interview with Pim, and Pim sheepishly, emailed me and said, "Listen, there's this new star reporter, and the top brass wants her to interview you. Do you mind?" I said, "Pim, if you don't want me to do this, I'll insist I do it with you." No, give her a chance. So I do it, and she's a moron. She's in the, let's get an idiot and promote that idiot, male or female or otherwise, way above their station. She wasn't familiar with the material. She was trying to, how somebody tries to be glib, to act as if they're know-it-all and they know everything. And she just didn't get the basic premise of my points, which the market got, GE eventually got, the world got, but she didn't get. And she only lasted at Bloomberg, I think, a short time, maybe a year.
Before we move off of Margaret Brennan, let's just take a look at this. So she's married to this person,
Yada.
Jacob. I don't know who that is.
Yada.
Yeah, but so first of all, she's a board member at the Council on Foreign Relations. That's not good by me. The thing that was so offensive is, look, sometimes people say, "Oh, Jason, you interrupt Charles." We've known each other for 8 years. This is a kind of a co-hosted show, and sometimes I'm getting a little enthusiastic. This is the nature of the way our conversations go. No offense, Charles, you're not the Vice President of the United States of America, and I haven't invited you here today for a unique interview opportunity. This woman, this girl, was interrupting so much with such asinine commentary. I cannot believe that J.D. Vance sat there and allowed her to do that. Donald Trump would have given us one of his, and I was missing this. We really needed it. Excuse me. You're very rude. I love it when he does that to the people who are interviewing him like this, because like, who does she think she is to be interjecting and correcting with her viewpoint? It was terrible.
Well, especially CBS is currently the subject of a $10 billion defamation lawsuit by Donald Trump, which they could lose. So, yeah, I think what's happened is the pay scales of these anchors have gotten out of control. When you're making, Brett Baer supposedly makes $30 million a year. I mean, that's big time. $30 million a year in cash compensation, as opposed to $5 million a year in cash and $25 million in appreciation of stock. That is a lot of money to pay somebody. And so maybe Margaret's getting 10, 6, 8, whatever, and who knows what yada yada Yakub makes. So they're living large, and she's deciding which important world figure she's going to grant the privilege to sit down with her. And she's she's an exhibit A in why I don't watch CBS, NBC, ABC, or any of that stuff anymore. In fact, with my new setup here, I think I get Bloomberg as part of a package on my internet, but I don't think I'm going to sign up for TV.
Who needs it? It's all crap. I like to show the Professor Hulk when you talk about Brett Baer, because I can never look at the guy and not think about this character. Halfway between Hulk and scientist.
I mean, Brett, I've never met him, but I've interacted with him on television, and he's a decent person to deal with. But I for what he did in 2020, failing to stand up to the challenges, which I think now we know are legitimate. In fact, we knew before, but with certainty we know that it's quite possible this guy who's dubious but breaks some news on my Twitter. I think his name is Michael Scheuer or something like that. He's a CIA expert, said that there's no question at this point that the CIA meddled in 2020, altering the results with those Dominion machines and in key states. So the legacy press beclowned itself, and which is, I guess, a great opportunity for us. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I was actually listening to a Kash Patel interview that was a few years old. It was 3 years old. And he's saying that they found that Russia interfered with the election. I'd love to see that evidence, because it sounds like nonsense to me. We're going to have a lot of confirmation hearings coming up this week. And I just wonder, we've got Pete Hegseth there. Is he the only one who's been confirmed so far?
Well, no. Kristi Noem was confirmed, and John Ratcliffe was confirmed. Actually, on that subject, the subject of, I don't know how much time we have, but Hegseth's confirmation, there's a hilarious woman. She's the modern and prettier version of Joan Rivers, named Nikki Glazer, and she does roasts, and that's her claim to fame. I think she's I think quite attractive, and it's very funny. Anyway, I just happened to get a reel of hers, which maybe it was after the McConnell thing or not, but she said, something, I can't do it justice, but she said, men are always desperate to, look at women's private parts. And I was in a DoubleTree hotel with no bath, bubble bath, no nothing. And I'm taking a bath, and I looked down, below downstairs, she said, and I couldn't believe what I saw. There was Mitch McConnell's face.
Yeah, Marco Rubio, of course, got accepted right away. Isn't that interesting? Right. All these questions that people are posing, they're like, Pete Hegseth. This was our friend Margaret there was asking J.D. Vance. Oh, Pete Hegseth, you had to break the tie. Doesn't that tell you something? The one thing I really do enjoy about J.D. Vance, or a thing I really do enjoy about him, is that they try to get him with these gotcha questions that jam up a lot of traditional politicians. But he is kind of, he's like a podcast era politician who's ready to have a big 2-hour conversation with you about probing questions that he's not going to be easily jammed up on. But you know what, Charles, I have to say, when I watch these interviews and even just almost anything these guys are saying, it always seems to come back around to the fact that, modern warfare is changing and the need for drones and blah, blah, blah. I just can't get it out of my head that these guys are waiting to drop some big Anduril purchase on us and they're all investors in that and stuff. I'm a little troubled by some of that.
Yeah. Well, just back for a second on J.D. Vance. The function of the Senate on cabinet appointees is advise and consent. It's not obstruct and oppose. The Constitution is very clear on that. But the Democrats always like to say, when they win, they want all their cabinet appointees immediately approved, and we can't say anything. Similarly, with their Supreme Court justices. On the other hand, when a conservative Trump wins, they believe it's their right to nitpick and second guess and not simply advise and consent. And I think we should be stronger than J.D. Vance even was with Margaret Brennan. I mean, it is not the role of an Indian, a fake Indian with high cheekbones, who has made money on her famous cookbook, Pow Wow Chow, and has all the money. She has tens of millions of dollars now after decades of lying about her ancestry. She has no business saying one fucking word other than how now brown cow. I mean, she is a despicable human being. Oh my God.
Wait a minute. You're not joking. That's actually a book that she wrote.
Right.
I thought that was a joke that you made up.
No.
I can't believe she did that. I mean,
right.
How is that not immediately canceled as the most racist? Like, what happens if that lady who was pretending she was black put herself on an Aunt Jemima bottle or something? This is crazy.
Rachel Dolezal, yeah.
Yeah.
Or what about Kamala Harris pretending she's black?
Exactly. Well, she became black at some point.
Well, did you see what Candace Owens is doing next?
With Macron's wife?
Yeah, she's got a new series coming out starting Friday, Becoming Brigitte Macron. She's fearless.
I've been following that a little bit, and I think Candace Owens is correct. Here's Newsweek saying Candace Owens bets career on politician's wife being a man. Terrifying. Well, yeah. I mean, she's presented some pretty darn compelling evidence from what I have seen. I don't know, Newsweek is not loading too well here. This computer lately is getting blitzed by ads. But Charles, there's something else we got to talk about, which is so many things here. We got Trump was, what was it just here that we had? Yeah, he fired all the inspector generals, and then they decided that, well, wait a minute, you can't do that. But he left Michael Horowitz in place. We're going to have to talk about this in depth because we've only got a minute left. People are going to be able to join us in the First Amendment Forum. I don't know if I told you about this, Charles, but Odyssey has been forced to transition to a cryptocurrency-based payment system. Yeah, so people will be able to use their credit cards, but I know that, viewers who don't like or don't have cryptocurrency wallets might want to choose to sponsor on another platform like crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or, of course, subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I'm also now able to accept subscribers on X, but X, for all the wonderful technology that Elon Musk has at his disposal, cannot do a subscriber-exclusive live stream, so the streams, they show up there after the show. I do appreciate all the people who sponsor Crowdsource the Truth. We'll carry on the conversation there, Charles, but take us out just in the last moment here.
Well, it's been almost a week of progress, and we've got, with luck, 4 more years of this. And thank God that Trump actually won the 2024 election.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Charles. We'll be right back in just 5 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. Please sponsor the show if you're not already doing that. We got a ton to discuss here with Charles, the firing of the inspector generals. I think you are not so positive on Michael Horowitz. So we'll
Not at all.
figure out why Trump is, talk about some of that controversy. People will be able to join us. And if you are sponsoring on Odyssey, of course, we will be there. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back in 5 minutes. Thanks for tuning in.